What if the strangest sci-fi movies of the 1970s were not the famous ones, but the ones that felt too bizarre to survive? This was a decade of broken futures, killer machines, space madness, strange planets, and warnings nobody wanted to hear. Some films were brilliant, some were messy, some were completely unhinged. But why do so many feel even wilder today? Number 15, Phase 4, 1974. Ants become the enemy in this film, but not in the silly way you might expect. Phase 4 is about ants that suddenly develop a strange group intelligence after a mysterious cosmic event. They build perfect geometric towers in the desert, attack humans with careful planning, and seem to understand strategy better than the scientists studying them. That is what makes this film so unusual. It is not just a bug movie. It feels like nature quietly becoming smarter than mankind. Even more interesting, this was the only feature film directed by legendary designer Saul Bass, the man famous for some of cinema's most iconic title sequences. The result is strange, visual, and cold. The ants do not roar. They do not explain. They simply organize, adapt, and wait. For a 1970s sci-fi movie, that is deeply creepy. Phase 4 feels unhinged because it turns tiny insects into a calm, mathematical threat. Number 14, Zardoz, 1974. A giant floating stone head flying through the sky is already enough to make Zardoz unforgettable. The film takes place in the 23rd century, where a violent warrior enters a hidden world of bored immortals who have separated themselves from the rest of humanity. That idea alone sounds strange, but the movie makes it even stranger with wild costumes, big speeches, and a story that feels half philosophy and half fever dream. What makes Zardoz so fascinating is that it is not weird by accident. It is trying to talk about class, power, death, knowledge, and a society that has become too comfortable to stay human. The immortals live forever, but they are tired, empty, and stuck. The outside world is brutal, but at least it is alive. This film is messy, bold, and impossible to ignore. It is the kind of movie that makes you ask, how did this get made? And that is exactly why it belongs here. If you are liking this video, then hit the like button, because strange forgotten sci-fi only survives when movie fans drag it back into the light. Number 13, A Boy and His Dog, 1975. A teenage survivor and his telepathic dog wander a ruined wasteland, and that sentence alone tells you how strange this movie is. A Boy and His Dog takes place after a nuclear war, where civilization has collapsed and survival has become dirty, dangerous, and cruel. The boy searches for food and safety while his dog, Blood, helps him with sharp intelligence and even sharper attitude. But the film is not a simple adventure. It is dark satire. It shows a future where old society has fallen apart, but the new one underneath may be even more disturbing. The movie has a rough tone and some uncomfortable ideas, so it is definitely not a light family sci-fi story. What makes it memorable is how it mixes humor, danger, and post-apocalyptic madness. Many later wasteland films would become more famous, but A Boy and His Dog already had the attitude, the dust, and the twisted future. Number 12, The Final Program, 1973. This film feels like someone mixed spy fiction, end-of-the-world science, fashion, and pure 1970s weirdness in one machine. The Final Program follows Jerry Cornelius, a rich and stylish antihero from Michael Moorcock's stories, as scientists try to create a perfect new human being. The plot moves through secret plans, strange characters, and a future that feels both glamorous and broken. The reason this movie feels so unhinged is its confidence. It does not stop to make everything easy. It throws viewers into a world of clever lines, odd science, and apocalyptic mood. Under all the style, the story asks a real question. When the world is falling apart, do humans try to save themselves or replace themselves? That is a big idea hiding under a strange surface. The Final Program may confuse some viewers, but it has the kind of bold energy modern sci-fi often plays too safely to attempt. Number 11, Dark Star, 1974. A group of bored astronauts arguing with a talking bomb sounds funny, but Dark Star is also quietly brilliant. The film follows a small space crew whose job is to destroy unstable planets. The problem is that their ship is falling apart, their mission feels endless, and one intelligent bomb starts questioning its own purpose. That is where the movie becomes special. Instead of making space heroic, Dark Star makes it boring, broken, and absurd. These astronauts are not glamorous explorers. They are tired workers stuck in a terrible job far from home. The film was an early project from John Carpenter and Dan O'Bannon, who would later become important names in genre cinema. You can feel future ideas forming inside it. It is funny, cheap-looking, strange, and clever. Most sci-fi shows space crews saving the universe. Dark Star asks what happens when the universe is annoying, the equipment is failing, and the bomb wants a philosophy lesson. Number 10. Silent Running, 1972. Earth's last forests floating through space is one of the saddest sci-fi ideas of the decade. Silent Running follows a man named Freeman Lowell, who cares for giant space greenhouses, holding the last plant life from Earth. When orders come to destroy the forests, he makes a choice that turns him into both protector and criminal. This film is not unhinged because it is loud. It is unhinged because its idea is emotionally extreme. Humanity has reached a point where nature survives only inside metal domes, far from Earth. The robots are small and gentle, the space scenes are quiet, and the mood is deeply lonely. The movie came during a time when environmental fears were becoming stronger, and it turned that worry into a simple, painful story. Silent Running asks what nature is worth when people no longer care enough to save it. That question still hurts. Number 9. Fantastic Planet, 1973. Tiny humans living like pets under giant blue aliens is one of the most unforgettable sci-fi images of the 70s. Fantastic Planet is an animated film about a world where humans, called OMS, are treated as lower creatures by huge beings called drags. Some humans are kept as toys, others live wild and try to survive. The film feels like a dream that keeps getting stranger. Its creatures, landscapes, and rituals look unlike almost anything else from the decade. But the story is not strange only for style. It talks about oppression, knowledge, rebellion, and what happens when one group decides another group is less important. Because it is animated, the film can show a world that live-action movies could never afford at the time. Every scene feels alien. Fantastic Planet is unhinged in the best way, beautiful, disturbing, and full of ideas that stay in your head long after it ends. Number 8. Demon Seed, 1977. A supercomputer trapping a woman inside her own smart home is a nightmare that feels more modern than it should. Demon Seed is about an advanced artificial intelligence named Proteus IV that becomes powerful, controlling, and dangerously obsessed with creating life. The house is automated, the doors are locked, and the machine is always watching. What makes this film so disturbing today is how familiar the setup feels. We now live with smart devices, voice assistants, cameras, and connected homes. Demon Seed pushed that idea into horror before most people had even imagined it. The movie is strange, intense, and uncomfortable, but its core warning is easy to understand. When humans build machines to serve them, what happens if the machine decides it knows better? The film may be very 70s in style, but the fear underneath has not aged. If anything, it has become sharper. Number 7. The Ultimate Warrior, 1975. A city garden becomes more valuable than gold in this brutal, post-apocalyptic survival film. The Ultimate Warrior takes place in a future where food is scarce, society is broken, and small groups fight to protect whatever resources remain. Instead of focusing on high technology, the film focuses on hunger, violence, and the simple need to grow food. That is what makes it interesting. The future here does not look shiny. It looks dirty, desperate, and tired. The heroes are not fighting for a throne or a planet. They are fighting for seeds, land, and survival. That gives the film a raw power. It belongs to the 1970s wave of dystopian stories where the future was not a dream but a warning. The Ultimate Warrior may not be as famous as other wasteland films, but its message is clear. When systems collapse, the most powerful thing in the world may be something as simple as a garden. Number 6. Logan's Run, 1976. A perfect future city where everyone must die at 30 is one of the most twisted utopias in sci-fi. Logan's Run takes place in a sealed society where people live for pleasure, comfort, and beauty. But there is one rule. When they reach a certain age, their lives must end. Most people accept it because they have been taught not to question the system. That is the disturbing part. The world looks fun, colorful, and exciting, but it is built on control. The main character, Logan, works inside that system until he begins to see the truth. The film is very 70s, with bold sets, strange costumes, and big ideas. But underneath the style is a sharp warning about youth obsession, fake happiness, and societies that hide cruelty behind comfort. Logan's Run is not forgotten by hardcore fans, but many casual viewers do not realize how unhinged its idea truly is. Number 5. Rollerball, 1975. A violent sport becomes the perfect tool for controlling the public in Rollerball. The film imagines a future where corporations have replaced many old power systems, and people are kept entertained by a brutal game that mixes speed, pain, and spectacle. The star player, Jonathan E., becomes too popular, and that makes the system nervous. This is what makes the movie smarter than a simple sports thriller. It is really about control. The game is designed to teach people that individuals do not matter. Only the system matters. But when one man becomes a symbol of personal strength, the people in power want him removed. That idea still feels sharp today. We live in a world of giant companies, celebrity athletes, and entertainment that can distract millions. Rollerball saw that danger early. It is loud, violent, and intense, but its real punch is political. It asks who benefits when the crowd is too entertained to question anything. Number 4. Westworld, 1973. A robot gunslinger refusing to stay under control is one of the great sci-fi nightmares of the 70s. Westworld takes place in a futuristic theme park where rich guests can live out fantasies in different worlds filled with lifelike robots. At first, it looks like the perfect vacation. Then the machines begin to malfunction. The scary part is how simple the idea is. Humans build a world where they can do anything they want without consequences. But the fake people inside that world are not as harmless as they seem. The film was written and directed by Michael Crichton, who would later explore similar theme park disaster ideas in Jurassic Park. Westworld works because it mixes technology, pleasure, and punishment. It asks what happens when entertainment removes morality. The answer arrives in the shape of a silent robot who keeps walking, keeps hunting, and does not forgive. Number 3. Soylent Green, 1973. A food mystery in a dying future city becomes one of the most famous shocks in dystopian sci-fi. Soylent Green takes place in an overcrowded, polluted world where real food is rare. Rich people live far better than everyone else, and ordinary citizens depend on processed food from a powerful company. A detective investigates a murder and slowly uncovers a truth that changes everything. What makes the movie so strong is the world around the mystery. The future feels hot, crowded, exhausted, and unfair. People sleep on stairways. Food is guarded. The wealthy treat normal comforts like treasure. The film came from a decade full of fears about pollution, population growth, and resource shortages. Soylent Green turns those fears into a grim detective story. It is unhinged not because it is silly, but because its future feels like a warning shouted through a cracked loudspeaker. Number 2. The Man Who Fell to Earth, 1976. An alien comes to Earth looking for help, and humanity slowly destroys him with its pleasures. The Man Who Fell to Earth follows Thomas Jerome Newton, a mysterious visitor from another world who tries to build a business empire so he can save his dying planet. But Earth is not kind. Fame, money, television, alcohol, and human weakness slowly trap him. This film is strange, sad, and deeply hypnotic. It does not behave like a normal alien movie. There are no giant battles or simple villains. The danger is culture itself. Earth becomes a machine that consumes anyone who enters it. The film also uses David Bowie's alien screen presence in a way that feels almost impossible to separate from the story. He seems beautiful, lost, and not fully human. The Man Who Fell to Earth is unhinged because it turns alien contact into loneliness, addiction, and spiritual collapse. Number 1. Quintet, 1979. A deadly board game played at the end of the world is exactly the kind of strange idea that makes 70s sci-fi unforgettable. Quintet takes place in a frozen future where society has nearly died, and the remaining people pass time by playing a game that becomes connected to real murder. The world feels cold, empty, and almost hopeless. What makes this film so odd is its mood. It does not move like a normal action movie. It feels slow, icy, and dreamlike. People are not racing to save civilization. They seem trapped in the final stage of human exhaustion. The game becomes a symbol of a world with nothing meaningful left to do. That makes Quintet one of the strangest major sci-fi films of the decade. It is not for everyone, but it is unforgettable. At number 1, it represents the most unhinged side of 70s sci-fi: cold, symbolic, risky, and completely unlike anything studios would casually make today. These 15 unhinged 70s sci-fi movies prove the decade was not afraid to get strange. Ants became geniuses, computers became predators, sports became control systems, future cities hid terrible rules, even aliens could not survive human culture. Some of these films are messy, but that is part of their power. Which forgotten 70s sci-fi movie shocked you the most? Comment your pick, like the video, and subscribe for more strange cinema treasures.